49% of middle-income Americans now have a monthly budget. That's up from 37% in 2021, according to Ramsey Solutions' Q1 2026 State of Personal Finance report. Nearly half of middle-income earners are actively budgeting. Most of them still run out of money before the next paycheck arrives. More than half of the people trying to budget are still ending up in the same place. That is not a discipline failure. That is a systems problem. And the system failing them is almost always the same one: the monthly budget, applied to income that doesn't arrive monthly. Today, we're building the fix. The paycheck routine, a 10-minute process you run every time money hits your account that tells every dollar where it's going before the month gets a chance to absorb it. Why the monthly budget breaks for biweekly earners. Most 9-to-5 workers are paid every 2 weeks. That's 26 paychecks a year. And almost every budget system built by a financial expert, Dave Ramsey's EveryDollar, YNAB, the 50-30-20 rule, every template you've downloaded was designed around monthly income. Your income doesn't arrive monthly. It arrives every 14 days. And bills don't space themselves neatly between your pay dates. Here's what the mismatch actually looks like. You're paid bi-weekly on Fridays. Rent of $1,600 is due the 1st. Your next paycheck lands the 6th. That's a 5-day gap, meaning the $1,600 has to come from your previous paycheck, which also covered the last 2 weeks of groceries, gas, and everything else. If you spent freely after your last paycheck without intentionally setting aside $1,600 for rent, you arrive at the first short even though you make enough. Not reckless spending. Timing mismatch. The monthly budget has no answer for this. The paycheck routine does. Building the paycheck routine. The paycheck routine is a 10-minute process run within 24 hours of every deposit, not monthly. Not when you remember. Every time money hits your account. Here's how to build it. Step 1. Anchor to your real take-home, not your salary. For a $65,000 salary paid bi-weekly, the actual deposit after federal tax, state tax, Social Security, and Medicare is approximately $1. $900 to $2,100 per paycheck depending on your state and deductions. Your working number is that deposit amount. The salary is irrelevant to this process. Step 2. Map every bill to the paycheck that covers it, not to the month. List every bill, name, dollar amount, due date. Then assign each bill to the paycheck that arrives before its due date. In this example, paycheck 1/5 covers internet $75, electric $95, car insurance $165, student loan $210. Total $545. Paycheck 2/19 covers car payment $420, phone $90. Total $510. Rent is due the 1st before either paycheck this month. That means $1,600 gets held from the previous month's final paycheck specifically for rent. Untouched, this one step ends the mystery of why rent money disappears before rent is due. Step 3. Assign the 4 buckets to what's left. Bucket 1, fixed bills. Already assigned in Step 2. These don't move. Bucket 2, essentials, groceries and gas. Everything you have to buy to exist that isn't a fixed bill. For a single adult, $350 to $500 per pay period. For a family of 3, $600 to $900. Use your actual spending, not a wish number. Bucket 3, goals. The bucket most people skip. A specific dollar amount that transfers to a savings goal the day after your paycheck deposits before anything discretionary. Emergency fund, debt extra payment, savings target. Even $75 per paycheck is $1,950 a year. Automate it so the transfer happens without a decision. Bucket 4, flex. What remains after buckets 1 through 3? Dining out, entertainment, clothing, anything non-essential. This number is your real discretionary ceiling for the pay period. When it reaches 0, it stays at 0 until the next paycheck. Quick question before we keep going, drop it in the comments. What day of the month does your biggest bill hit? Just the date. I want to see how common the timing mismatch actually is across people watching this. There's a third paycheck hiding in your year right now. Bi-weekly workers receive 3 paychecks in 2 months of the year instead of 2. Most people don't know when those months are, and the money disappears into the month like any other paycheck. I'll show you exactly how much that is and what to do with it in about 5 minutes. Keep watching. I want to address the percentage rules you've heard, because they conflict with everything I've just laid out, and they need to be corrected. The 50-30-20 rule says 50% of take-home goes to needs, 30% to wants, 20% to savings. On a $65,000 salary with $2,000 biweekly take-home, 50% is $1,000 per paycheck for needs. Rent alone in most mid-sized U.S. cities runs $800 to $900 per paycheck. Add car, insurance, phone, and utilities and needs are already consuming 75 to 80% of take-home before a single grocery is purchased. The 50-30-20 rule was not built for a $65,000 income in 2026 with current fixed costs. It was built for incomes where meaningful discretionary spending actually exists after fixed costs are covered. For a middle-class earner on a tight margin, the 70-20-10 framework is more honest. 70% to all living costs, 20% to savings and debt payoff above minimums, 10% to flex. Even that requires adjustment if housing costs are high. A framework isn't a target you hit perfectly. It's a guardrail that stops spending from drifting without any awareness of where it went. You have the bill mapping, the 4 buckets, and a realistic framework. The part that actually makes the routine stick instead of falling apart by month 2, that's what the next section covers. And then, the third paycheck number I mentioned. What makes it stick? 2 rules. Rule 1. The trigger is the paycheck, not the calendar. Every time your deposit lands, you run the routine. Not the first of the month. Not when you feel like reviewing your finances. The paycheck is the trigger. Every single time. If you wait until you feel like budgeting, the money is already partially spent and the routine loses its function. The 10 minutes happens within 24 hours of the deposit. That is the rule. Rule 2. The third paycheck is a financial accelerator, not a bonus month. Biweekly workers receive 3 paychecks in 2 specific months each year, depending on your pay start date. Those months in 2026 are May and October for most Friday pay cycles. That third paycheck has no pre-assigned fixed bills. Every dollar in it is free to go directly to your biggest financial priority, emergency fund, debt payoff, savings target. If you spend it like a regular paycheck, you lose 2 targeted financial opportunities per year. That's $3,800 to $4,200 in potential progress that instead gets absorbed into the month with nothing to show for it. I want to be honest about what I can't tell you. The research on which specific budgeting methods zero-based, paycheck-based, envelope, percentage rule produces the best measurable outcomes for middle-income households over time is genuinely thin. Most studies measure whether people budget at all, not which method they use. The data consistently shows any systematic approach beats no approach. It does not consistently show one method outperforms another when both are applied with the same consistency. I can't tell you the paycheck routine will outperform YNAB or EveryDollar in your specific situation. What I can tell you, it is built specifically around 26 paychecks per year, not 12 months, and the timing mismatch it solves is a real structural problem that monthly systems don't address. Here's the third paycheck number. 2 bonus paycheck months per year at $2,000 each, applied consistently to a financial goal for 5 years, is $20,000. Not invested. Not compounded. Just the raw amount from paychecks that had no pre-assigned bills and were given a specific job instead of being absorbed by the month. $20,000 over 5 years. From money that was already in your income every single year. $20,000. Not from a raise. Not from a windfall. From paychecks that already existed and finally had a job. This is exactly why the money kept disappearing. Not because you spent too much. Not because you weren't trying. Because the budget you were using was built for someone paid on the first of the month, and you were paid on a Friday, every other week, with bills due on dates that have nothing to do with your pay cycle. The money was always there. It just never had a job before it arrived. Which months are your 3 paycheck months this year? If you know, Drop them in the comments. If you don't know yet, that's worth finding out today. If this is your kind of channel, subscribe. See you in the next video.